Why can't we walk through? This is against the law. He's reporting. Why can't I report? You understand? This is against the law. You understand? This is against the law. I can't walk on the sidewalk that I pay taxes for. As a reporter, I have the right to report on public land. I know my rights as a reporter. Who do you protect? Who do you serve? Who do you protect? Who do you serve? Officer, can I ask you why you're letting some people through but not other people through? Why is it they can chant but we can't chant? May I ask you, officer, Deputy Inspector Lombardo, there's literally a barricade sponsored by Tiffany & Co. because Tiffany is right there. A corporate state.
Let us march. Let us march.
Did it make sense to you what they were doing?
No, I think it's disgusting that they're not letting people march. I think that the rights of land, I think the rights of Native people, and I think that the rights of us to respect their treaties are tantamount to the democracy in this country, and preventing people from expressing that by putting them in a pen while it's hailing outside is disgusting, and it's an affront to our rights as Americans and as humans on this earth.
What were they doing to you when you were on the other side?
They were telling me that I would not be able to march, that I shouldn't be chanting, that I should get off the sidewalk, and that I was obstructing people.
Oh. Sorry, did you get that on camera? Did you just hit me? Oh, officer, I'm reporting. They're pushing people.
If you unlawfully obstruct pedestrian traffic or walk in the street or roadway, you may be placed under arrest and charged with disorderly conduct, a violation of New York State penal law.
Every time they make that announcement, riot police follow right afterwards. It's what happened to Eric Gardner's protest. It's what happened to Philando Castile's protest. It's what happens at every protest in New York as soon as we step an inch on the street.
There's a line of police here, a line of police blocking off there, a line of police there. They're now making an announcement that people have to disperse, but they're unable to disperse. Did you just say I was protesting? I was getting a shot. Officer, I was getting a shot. He told the officers just now that I was protesting when I was advising my cameraman to get some distance for a shot. He's telling them I'm protesting. Guess what? Protesting and reporting fall under the same constitutional right, officer. I don't know if you understand that. I are equally protected to protest and to report. Same constitutional right. So you may say I'm protesting, but I was telling my cameraman to get a shot. And I didn't have the mic in my hands because he was linking it up. For some reason, this officer seems to think that protesting and reporting fall under different constitutional rights. Actually, they're the same constitutional right. So this just went from a reporting situation to a First Amendment situation. They seem to think it's okay to attack reporters now.
Somebody will say, oh, freedom of speech, freedom of speech. These are foolish people.
There's a lot happening right now in the world ever since Donald Trump was inaugurated. You have, I believe, a crisis of the Constitution. So I'm not sure if a lot of you saw this, but there was a video that went out yesterday that we edited of my time at a protest, a No DAPL protest in New York City at Central Park in response to Donald Trump's memoranda that called for the continuation of construction of pipelines. So while I was out there for several hours in the pouring rain and the hail, they were barricading and pushing off and shoving reporters right in front of Trump Tower, not letting us out, not letting us out of the barricades. And we had an altercation. They actually shoved me at one point and told me I wasn't a reporter, I was a protester. But before that happened, you know, there were 7 journalists that were arrested in Washington, D.C. during the inauguration covering another set of protests. You have people who have not legitimate news media. And I mean, when I say legitimate, I mean like organizations, like things that are registered, not like Bob's Nazi News Blog is one of the guys I spoke to said. They were banned from having White House press passes, from covering the president. the same time, there's a little bit of protocol in the White House press corps. So when there's a daily briefing, it's been tradition for over 40 years that they call on the Associated Press first. And I know a lot of people have mixed opinions about the Associated Press and cable news and corporate news. I hear you on that, and I completely agree with you. But let's separate that for a second. The way that Donald Trump is treating the press is unprecedented. And what I want to say here is this is a constitutional crisis, all right? Steve Bannon, who built the alt-right, has encouraged the White House to call on the Christian Coalition, that's not a news organization, that's a political action committee. They're first to ask questions in the White House press briefing room. Like the fourth and the fifth is Associated Press. You have alt-right news organizations asking questions in the White House press room, okay? So journalists are getting arrested. They're saying who can ask questions in the White House press room. They're attacking journalists. They're shoving journalists, not allowing to cover. There are Facebook pages that are being shut down right now by journalists because alt-right organizers who've been on Reddit decide to flag these journalists over and over that they have to suspend their accounts. They are in full operation fascism. This is fascism mode. Okay, so with all this being said, I personally can't take this. And I know a lot of journalists out there are like, well, we can't get political. Our news editors say we can't protest. Sure, you can't protest, but you know what you can do? You can do things on your own terms. So we've launched something today, a group of journalists. We have about 20 journalists that have come together, and we're going to announce all the details in the next couple of days as we get the press passes and the logistics settled. We are launching an alternate press conference, a White House press conference on the terms of the journalists, where we can ask whatever questions we want. And if Donald Trump wants to show up or Sean Spicer wants to show up, sure, show up. But it's our press conference. It's not their press conference. Meaning we ask the questions and that's the news. We talk about the news of the day. We don't do this bullshit fascism, alt-right propaganda that they're trying to do. Because when they go after free press, it's not that they go after journalists. They go after you, the citizens, your ability to understand what's happening in government. We are the ones who are supposed to be asking questions of our politicians and our government so that you know what's happening, so that you can hold the government accountable. That's why it's the First Amendment, not the 15th Amendment, not the 20th Amendment. It is the First Amendment. It is something that our founders, as flawed as they were, they understood that there needed to be another group that was non-biased, not engaged in the government process. And of course, we've had moments of crisis in the past, but we have never had in the first 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 days of a presidency such an in-your-face crackdown on the press, on the First Amendment. And it's not just the press. It's, of course, the right to organize. Of course, it's the right to organize. You guys, you all know that TYT, we would be nothing if we weren't able to do what we're doing. And he'll find different ways to crack down on us because he knows that the largest generation in history is not consuming news through CNN and MSNBC and the Associated. They're on TYT. They're organizing online. They're sharing their stories, their live streams. They're there at the scene and sharing it directly with their communities. And he's going to find a way to crack down on you guys. And we're not going to let that happen. And so in the next week or so, we are going to host this alternate press conference to shed light on this. And we're going to encourage all of you guys to come out there and support us so that we can march for a free press. We can march for the First Amendment. This is what it's about. The hashtag is Free the Press. We have a GoFundMe up there right now just to cover logistics. Just to cover like the cost of the tent and the mics and all that stuff. And if we have any money left over, we're giving it to the Committee to Protect Journalists because they are providing legal service to those 7 journalists right now who have been arrested and charged with felonies for rioting. These are journalists at news organizations. They have been charged with rioting because they were there covering on the front lines what was happening. Because you guys need to know what's happening. And if they start to shut down anybody they're covering or shutting down the internet or Wi-Fi, I mean, that's what they did in Syria, that's what they did in Iran, that's what they did in Libya. We all saw this before, but now it's our country.